Jā.
Tas Zoomā iet no tā piespraužamā mikrofona vai no datora?
No piespraužamā šobrīd.
Kādā ziņā skaņu tu ieraksti, vispār video tu ierakstīs arī ar savu?
Jā, tas arī tā ierakstās, jā. Tagad esi online. Tā. Tagad tu esi online.
Bet man ir jāspiežā mute, kā man skaņa iet?
Nē, es tev palaidu tagad. Tagad tu esi online.
Tu vari palaist video.
Un no Raitas datora mutē, jā. Viss pareizi.
Ieslēdz to video.
Jā. Labi, labvakar. Okay, hello. I will be briefly introducing tonight's program, because this is the event where several meetings and several presentations and several forthcoming events also come together, because this is a satellite event of our RIXC Art Science Festival, Splintering Realities. So there are a couple of events which I would like also to remind you about. And also I will be shortly saying the context of this event. And also next to me is Agnes Barano, RIXC producer, and she's also coordinator of our Residency art program here in RIXC, and she will also tell you maybe about some interesting things. Because hello students from Liepāja and Riga, but also our master students there. So I'm really happy to see you all online. And we also have audience here on site in RIXC Gallery. So I will be talking, and everybody here tonight will be talking about with two audiences. So about 12 people in RIXC and 18 people online. Tā, pavisam īsi latviski. Mēs ļoti priecājamies, ka šīs pasākums arī sasaucās ar mūsu šobrīd notiekošo festivālu programmu Trauslā realitāte. Šobrīd jau ir atgādināšu, ka vēl līdz 16. oktobrim ir apskatām izstāde Laikmatīgās mākslas centrā KIM, kur ir brīnišķīgi 12 darbi, kas izmanto virtuālo realitāti, augmentēto realitāti, mākslīgo intelektu. Gan starptautiski, gan latviešu mākslinieku darbi. Tā kā aicināt visi tur. Un nākošu nedēļu notiek mūsu lielais pasākums konference. Šeit arī no RIXC galerijas, bet lielākā daļa būs starptautiskā auditorija, kas piedalīsies attālināti virtuāli. Yeah. So next week, also for Liepāja students, you are especially welcome, because we will be hosting here a part of the conference in RIXC Gallery, a little bit in similar setting as now. So you can come and go and watch presentations with on-site speakers, but also online speakers here on the screen. And so that starts on Thursday at 2 o'clock, and then Friday and Saturday from 11, but you are already welcome from 10 to have a coffee and have informal talks with our on-site participants. So there will be arriving, what is very special about this year's conference, we have invited, we look back also to all the history of new media art, how it started also here in Latvia, how it started in Eastern Europe. And so there is a core group of internet pioneers from the 90s coming here to Riga. So their event is called Deep Europe Symposium on 6th of October. Today, so the plan is the following. So the first part of lecture, 30 minutes by Raitis SMITS. He will be introducing his new book, New Media Art, which we already opened or presented during the festival opening, but now it will be a lecture, so he will be introducing and showing the content of the book. This is in Latvian, and in English it's forthcoming. Also he will be talking in Latvian and summarizing shortly in English. And after Raitis, the next 30 minutes, we will be giving a a floor to our residency artist, Butler, and I would like also Agnes to shortly introduce like the background of this residency program, because this is something really unique, which is definitely important for all media artists, especially young and emerging.
You already said everything.
No, I didn't.
Varbūt vispirms labvakar visiem tie, kas ir šeit klātesošie, un arī tiem, kas ir Zoomā. Jo Zoomā mums šoreiz, man liekas, tas ir puses auditorija. Jā, un kā jau Rāds minēja, otrs šī vakara programmas runātājs būs mākslinieks no Īrijas, un mākslinieks un dizainers no Īrijas Leons Butlers, un viņš ir mūsu šī gada EMAP RIXC mākslinieks rezidencē, kurš vairāk pastāstīs par savu tieši pētniecības projektu, ko viņš ir veicis un noteikti arī turpinās pilnveidot atgriežoties Īrijā par novērošanas tehnoloģijām saistībā ar performancēm. So, good evening everybody, and as Ras already mentioned, our next speaker today is Leon Butler. He is an artist and designer from Ireland, and he is our this year EMAP RIXC Artists in Residency, and he will tell and present more about his brand new art research project connected to these surveillance technologies and performances. Yes, RIXC are already, I think, for 4 years. We are partners and one of the partner organizations of the EMAP, which is European Media Art Platform. And there are connected 15 organizations, and actually those Latvian artists who are emerging artists who are working in new media art, in digital art, and also in bio art, really welcome to apply to next year residency program. The deadline is already I think in 1 month, 30th of November. You can choose 15 locations all around Europe and as well in Hexagram in Canada.
Can you just briefly say which are the main locations?
Main locations is Ars Electronica Center in Linz, Bro Art Center in Wrocław in Poland, Impact Media Art Organization in Utrecht in Netherlands, and of course main organization and initiator of this platform Backplates in Halle in Germany, and I would say also RIXC in Riga.
Among 15.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, please put them in a chat. We will be reading them after the presentation, because we have also 30 minutes after Leon's and Raitis presentations just for questions and answers and discussion.
Un tiem, kas ir klāt, ja jums ir kādi jautājumi, tad jūs varbūt paceļat roku un es pie jums pieiešu ar šo mikrofonu. Those who have questions or comments here in the gallery space, just raise your hand and I will just go with my phone here. Tā, tagad mēs aicinām mūsu šī vakara pirmo lektoru, Raitis SMITS. So, welcome, Raitis.
Man arī tas jā?
Nē, jau nav tā, tas ir kā mums. Man liekas, es biju kaut kur.
Klāt, jūs picas, kad kamēr Raitis mierīgi sagatavojās un nošēro ekrānu, jo Zoomā jau presijā. Paņemiet gabalīt picas.
Mārtiņu vai Mārtiņu dzirdēt?
Tev var dzirdēt, jā.
Zoomā.
Jūs arī varat
Redzēt arī, jā.
uzņemt pirmo.
Brīnišķīgi. Šito var redzēt Zoomā, jā?
Jā.
Nu, jā.
Samarīni English.
Jā. Brīdī. Kaut kā tā sanāca, jā, kad izdevās izdot šito grāmatu. Patiesībā tur visi nopelni ir Rasē, Dainai, Mārtiņam, man tur mazāk. Jo tā grāmata ir tā kā tapusi no manas doktora disertācijas, ko jau aizstāvēju jau 2015. gadā. Un tad, jā, Rasa teica, ka vajag izdot arī tādā grāmatas formātā, un tad ar viņas palīdzību un ar Dainas redakciju un Mārtiņa dizainu arī izdevās to visu paveikt. Paldies jums! Yeah, just to summarize very shortly, this book came out this year, but participants can know you. But actually, it is an outcome from my doctoral thesis about new media art and preservation of new media art. But actually, I have to thank you, Rasa, and Daina and Martin, who helped me to put together this book, actually. That was most of all Rasa's initiative, and because I was so fed up with writing after my PhD, so that I couldn't think of like putting everything together again in a form of book. But Rasa helped me, and Diane helped with editing, and Martin with design, so thanks to them. And this book is out now, and it is available also in bookshops in Riga. It is in Latvian, and it was meant mostly for local audience, because it touches very much new media art history and examples from Latvian art scene, starting from 90s. Nu, lūk, te es tā, taču tas te neies prom. Es neko nesaprotu. Bet nu ir tāds 3 daļas tajā grāmatā par šo te vēsturisko kontekstu un jauno mediju mākslas pirmsākumiem. Tad ir otrā daļa tīri tā kā disertācijas formātā par metodoloģiju un par... Tur ir tāds interesants, varbūt, nodaļas kā terminoloģija, jo, es pieskaršos noteikti vēlāk, bet terminoloģija, ko es tur tā kā esmu mēģinājis izpētīt un noskaidrot un kaut kādā veidā paskaidrot par šiem te mākslas veidiem. Un tad, protams, trešā sadaļa, kas ir par saglabāšanu un par visām tām problēmām, kas ir saistītas ar saglabāšanu. Un tad, tad pirmajā daļā tur es esmu atsevišķi tāds punktus izlicis, bet tas, ko es gribētu vērst uzmanību, ir, ka ir diezgan liela daļa no teksta veltīta arī konkrēti Latvijas mākslai, jauno mediju mākslai, digitālajai mākslai, un īpaši 90. gadu un 2001. 10 gadus darbiem. Tad kaut kādā mērā arī skaņu mākslā, tā kā mēs esam paši bijuši iesaistīti stipri daudz skaņu mākslas eksperimentos internetā, bet ir tāds teorētisks ieskats tajā visā par to, kādi autori ir ietekmējuši šo te jauno mediju mākslu, kādi filozofu darbi ir ietekmējuši to. Un, principā lielā mērā arī par ELAB un RIXC agrīno darbību. Faktiski jau es saņēmos uz kaut ko tādu, kā disertācijas rakstīšanu, tikai tāpēc, ka pēc pieredzes man bija tas materiāls uzkrājies galvā un ap mani un mūsu kopīgajā ELAB un RIXC darbībā ar mūsu draugiem, maniem draugiem un kolēģiem, māksliniekiem. Līdz ar to tas materiāls tā kā bija un tad vienkārši atlikt savā tādā formātā. Jā, te es tādu vienu Bible tekstu, ko es ik pa laikam kaut kur rādu, viņš ļoti uzrunā, jo cīniņš vienmēr ir, kad tu iesāc kaut ko ļoti jaunu un nebijušu, teiksim, mākslā pieņemsim, tad tie, kas ir tradīcija turētāji, ja, tie vienmēr ir vairāk nekā tie avangardisti, tad tie tradīcija turētāji vienmēr eksaminē tevi, apšaubu to, vai tā ir vispār māksla, ko tu dari, vai tas vispār ir ieskaitāms un pieņemams un tā tālāk un tā joprojām. Tāpēc es šo te citātu arī pa laikam izvēlku un nolieku, tas ir Pīter Veibel teiktais, ja, kurš ir arī mākslinieks un ilgus gadus ir CKM centra direktors bijis, patās, kā viņš beidz šo te darbu, pirms tam viņš ir Ars Elektronikas festivāla direktors bijis. Tā kā, tāda liela autoritāte arī priekš manis, un tādēļ tā doma ir, manuprāt, tā ir tāda, jā, būtiska un svarīga. Jā, es izskriešu varbūt ātri cauri, daži kādi, kas ir grāmatā, daži darbi, kas ir grāmatā. Tas ir viens ekrāna attēls no Refresh projekta, kurš varbūt kaut kādā mērā ir aizsākums visai tīkla mākslai, ne tieši šis projekts, bet lielā mērā tas to laiku arī bija, kas ir 96. gads. Un viņš tā diezgan nepelnīgi varbūt pat ir piemirsts šobrīd, lai gan tas bija diezgan interesants, man liekas, projekts uz mums pašiem. Tajā piedalījās beigās, tur bija vairāk 10 dalībnieki no dažādām valstīm, un tā ideja bija gaužām vienkārši, katram uztaisīt vienu lapu, un šo te lapu tālāk ar kodā ierakstot vienu rindiņu, tādu refresh tēgu, ja, kas ir HTML-ā, kas automātiski ved uz nākamo lapu pēc tur 6 vai cik sekundēm, es īsti neatceros, cik tur bija tās norādīts tas laiks. Respektīvi, tu palaid pārlūkā jebkuru šo te lapu no jebkuras servera, un tad viņi tālāk iet tajā cilpā, it kā bezgalīgi, ja. Protams, ka tur tās lapas, ja kāds viņu izņem ārā, ja kāds tur to neuztur to savu lapu no tām visām, kas tajā cilpā, tad tā cilpa nedarbojās. Bet dīvainā kārtā, sākumā tas bija domāts kā tāds neliels eksperiments, ko iesāk Aleksejs Šulgins, Andrejas Brukmens un Vuks Kosičs, un arī mēs tur piedalījāmies ar savu projektu un ar savu lapiņu, un dīvainā kārtā tas diezgan ilgi darbojās, pat vairākus mēnešus, par ko viss tā kā, bija pārsteigti.
Raiti, Andrejas Brukmens nākošu ceturtdien, ko es teicu par internetu pionieriem, kas te būs nākošu ceturtdien, būs šeit.
Jā.
Dzīvajā. Mēs uzaicināt nokoordinēt visu.
Jā, es jau aizgāju priekšu. Tas kreisā pusē ir tā viena no refresh lapas. Pirmajām lapām, tas ir Alekseja Šulgina taisīt, un tā bildīte tā ir internetā atrast, ko viņš nav. Tāda arī, tās bija diversija.
Kāpēc magais, lai kad nav
uzērties.
Tas ļoti atvērt, man liekas.
Labajā pusē savukārt, šito mēs tādu diversiju uztaisījām, mēs pārdalījām ar frēmiem to ekrānu, to brauzeru divās daļās, un labā pusē uztaisījām Latvijas mākslinieku nelielu cilpu, kur Jānis Garanš bija, tur mūsu lapa manējā bija, un tur bija Arvīts Alksnis, un vēl bija pāris lapas, un Gīns Gabrāns arī, un tā gāja kā paralēlis. Tas jāmet ārā, kas krēsas. Mums te krēsas saulūkiem neizvēja.
Kamēr silti.
Tad, jā, un pieminot Exchange, cits projekts, ko mēs arī iesākām ar Rasu kopā un Jāni, bija tāds Exchange kompilācijas, kas bija internet radio projekts faktiski. Un pirms tā internet radio platformas mēs izveidojām 4 tādas kompilācijas, kur tie ekrāna attēli redzami. Kur mēs aicinājām vienkārši mūziķus un skaņu māksliniekus iesniegt savus audio gabalus, vai nu linkus uz tiem, vai pašus audio gabalus, un kurus mēs tad izvietojām uz savu serveri. Var sakot, mēs bijām pārņemti tajā brīdī ar to, kad varēja sākt internetā ne tikai lapas vai bildes ievietot, bet arī audio, un audio varēja laist strīmot, ja, straumēt. Viņi varēja laist reāli laikā un klausīties. Un šis te kompilācija projekts bija tā kā iesākums tam visam. Tur tie 4 dažādie krāsu dizaini, tie ir tādēļ, ka tās lapas nebija uz mūsu serveriem, bet viņas atradās katra uz sava tāda lielāka vai nu mākslas centra vai mākslas festivāla serveri. Tā oranžā bija Berlīnē, melnā apakšā tā bija Ars Elektronikā, 98. gadā bija liels tīkla mākslas projekts, un tad viņi arī uzturēja mūsu šo te projektu lapu. Un tā krāsainā varavīgs, un tā bija atkal Holandē, kas bija, tur bija tāds V2, tas bija Next by Minutes projekts, ja, kas bija tāds daudz plašāks. Respektīvi, tā ideja bija tāda, ka tās lapas var atrasties jebkur internetā, un mēs ar to arī aizrāvāmies. Tad Andrejas Brukmens pieminētais vēl arī pētījis un izteicies par šo te Exchange, mūsu tīkla radio projektu, par ko ir arī grāmatā nedaudz minēts. Tas ir viens ekrāna attēls no viena no šiem te versijām Exchange projektam, kurš ir šobrīd arī saglabāts, arhivēts, atrodas gan uz mūsu serveri, gan pat muzeja kolekcijā. Un tādā, tā kā tas bija tāds dzīvais projekts, kur bija pārsvarā saites uz radio, kas vai nu raida regulāri vai neregulāri, bet straumē internetā mūziku vai skaņu mākslas eksperimentus. Tas, protams, viss ir salūzis, tas vairs nedarbojās, tā kā ir tikai tāda aprakstošā puse un ir skaņu arhīvi šiem projektiem. Tad, kad mēs nodarbojāmies ar šo te internetu straumēšanu un tiešraidēm internetā, mēs ārkārtīgi aizrāvāmies ar cilpu veidošanu, ar citu cilvēku iesaisti un klausīšanos un slāņošanu un visu to, ko varēja izdarīt ar šo mēdīju. Mēs nezinājām par šo te projektu, to es tikai pētot tālāk, jau rakstot savu doktora darbu, uzzināju par šo projektu, par ko ir diezgan nepelnīgi aizmirsts. Viņš ir Latvijas mākslas vēsturē, un nav arī nekas daudz zināms. Ir atrodami, kaut arī visi tie cilvēki dalībnieki, lielākā daļa ir vēl starp mums, bet nav nekas daudz atrodams par šo projektu. Tas ir interesanti, ir 2 tādi koncerti, telefonu koncerti, kas notika 1986. un 1988. gadā. Un tie bija starptautiski koncerti. 86. gads vēl pilnā klāpē iet padomju vara. Es nezinu, kā viņiem izdevās pārliecināt kultūras komiteju, ka tika atvēlēti gan resursi, gan vispār atļauts piedalīties šādā koncertā. To Miķijs Rēmans lielā mērā visu inicijēja. Viņš Vācijā dzīvoja tajā laikā, un Ingūls Bilzēns, viņš bija pazīstams, un viņš to visu tā kā, sakoordinēja no Latvijas puses. Un, jā, notika tie koncerti caur telefonu līniju. Toreiz vēl pie tam bija tālsarunas, bija jāiezvanās caur Maskavu, ja nemaldos. Dīvainākais un interesantākais, protams, tas, ka ne dīvainākais, bet atšķirības starp mūsu darbību pēc tam 10 gadus vēlāk, burtiski, kad jau ir internets ienācis, kur faktiski visus tos rīkus mēs paši tā kā arī gan lietojām, gan arī pārvaldījām to visu sistēmu, ieskaitot pat serveri, kurš bija mums instalēts. Bet šī gadījumā, teiksim, to telefonu koncertu tā, ka viņiem ir tehniskā grupa, kas atbild par to sazvanīšanos. Turpat bija kaut kāda lēnās skenēšanas televīzija iesaistīta, kas līdzīgi faksam pārsūta attēlus no tā koncerta. Un mūziķi spēlē tikai tā kā tādā improvizācijas sesijā, tā kā tādā koncertā. Un tad vēl ir milzīga auditorija, kas sēž un klausa, nu cik milzīga, bet nu ir auditorija, kas notika arhitekta namā. Un auditorija, kas sēž un klausās, es varbūt uzklušķināšu uz linku mazliet, jo es domāju, ka diez vai kāds no jums to ir redzējis. Es nometīšu savējo un pagriezīšu savējo. Mums nav pieslēgts. Boris Abramets. Protams, Enders ar D, Roberts Koks, viņš Īguma Černov, tas ir Ingūks Pilzēns. Un tur tās iesaistītās vietas ir, nu, Vācija, protams, Frankfurta, tad ir Londona, ir, laikam, San Francisco arī vēl bija, un Katmandu priekš. Es neko sīkāk nezinu par tiem sakariem, kā personīgajiem, kā tas tika izveidots. To Mikijs Vērmans droši vairāk zina. Šis ir 88. gads. Tas 86. gada koncerts nav pieejams internetā. Pārbraukšu bišķi uz priekšu kaut kā. Te ir kaut kāds daļa no tā aparatūras, telefons, tie ir tehniķi. Tur vairāk pat gaidīšana notiek, lai saslēgtos. Slapiņš, visāds, teiksim, rakstas boks, dziļumā, olas. Very briefly about this video example I'm showing is when I started to write my thesis and do my research, I mentioned that we did a lot of internet radio experiments in the 90s. And we didn't know about this project actually, and then I later found out about it. So that actually artists and musicians from Riga participated in international telephone concert in the 80s. There were two of them, in 86 and in 88. And so there were different places involved, including Frankfurt in Germany, London, San Francisco, Kathmandu, and I believe also Moscow, because Moscow had to be involved because they were using the international telephone line, and at that time in 86 all the calls went through the Moscow, it was still Soviet Union. And so they were using basically a telephone line to play music and for the remote audiences in those other places. And there are some videos, there's this one, and there's one more which are available in the YouTube, so there's a documentation from those concerts. No. Nu, apmēram līdzīgi, kā mēs vēl joprojām, vai tu man dzirdi, vai tu man redzi, un kaut kas līdzīgs bija arī mūsu internetu radio sesijās. Tas pirmais laiks, pirmās minūtes tiek pavadīts, lai saprastu, vai vispār viens otru dzird. Bet, nu, interesants
Raiti.
tāds projekts, jā.
Pakmutēs ir.
Jā. Labi, paldies. Iesim tālāk, bet nākamā sadaļa pie tās grāmatas atgriežoties, ja es vispār izskriešu cauri tam teorētiskajām lietām, tad es parādīšu dažus interesantus projektus. Te es gribētu pievērst tajā otrajā daļā, jā, ir tie mulsinošie termini. Mēdīju māksla, elektroniskā māksla, datoru māksla, digitālā māksla un jauno mēdīju māksla. Un kas tad ko apzīmē? Un es apmēram mēģināju tā kā, izklāstīt pēc savas sapratnes un avotiem arī par šiem konkrētiem terminiem. Protams, ka viņi visi jukām pārklājās. Arī vēl šodien pamatā lietot tagad, teiksim, par šī laikā radušos šo te mēdīju mākslu ir runa vai tā ir digitālā māksla vai jauno mēdīju māksla. Jauno mēdīju mākslu varbūt es varētu teikt lieto vairāk ASV, digitālo mākslu varbūt vairāk Eiropā, lai gan tas arī tāds, diezgan tāds ļodzīgs varbūt tās apzīmējums, drīzāk kaut kāds. Tas atkarīgs ir no autoriem, jo, piemēram, tāda, respektablā autora Kristiāna Pola, kas ir gan kuratori, gan vairāk grāmatu autori un izstādes ļoti nozīmīgas kūrējas, viņi pārsvarā lieto šo te digitālā mākslu savām izstādēm. Tad, protams, par kategorijām te vēl ir un par Ļermanoviča jauno mediju principiem un kā tas varbūt tās atspoguļojās tieši mākslā. Divas izstādes man ir iekļautas šajā grāmatā, kur sanāca tā, ka man ar RIXC atbalstu mēs izveidojām 2010. Gadā izstādi. Mēs esam tīklā Netārt LV, kur bija kaut kādi 15 Latvijas tīkla mākslas darbu izstādīti Ķīna laikmatīgās mākslas centrā, un otra izstāde, kas saucās Save Us vai Saglabāt kā, kas bija starptautiska izstāde, kur mēs apskatījām to, mēģinājām saviem spēkiem izstādīt darbus, kas bija gan, kuriem bija tā teikt, kur jau bija novecojuši kaut kādā ziņā tehniski uz to laiku periodu, un tie darbi tika izstādīti, izmantojot dažādas šīs te saglabāšanas metodas, jā, gan emulāciju, gan migrēšanu. Bet es to tā faktiski nedomāju, vienkārši tika darīts kaut kas, lai to darbu varētu parādīt, jo tas oriģināls varbūt jau bija novecojis. Tad ir daži tie ekrāna attēli no izstādes, no tādas tīkla mākslas izstādes, kur mēs izlikām monitoros. Tīkla māksla, kā jau tik pa laikam to pētot, var atrast šo te informāciju par to, ka tīkla mākslinieki agrīnie deklarēja ļoti radikāli to, ka tīkla māksla ir radīta datoram un skatām datorā tikai, un būtībā skatām tāpat, teiksim, burtiski sakot, jūsu guļamistabā vai mājās skatām. Kaut arī, teiksim, piemēram, Kristiāna Pola uzsver to, ka, it kā muzejs nebūtu aprīkots ar internetu, kāpēc muzejā to nevarētu skatīties. Bet, beigās jau, protams, ka arī tīkla māksla tiek izstādīta galerijās, un mākslas kontekstā sākumā varbūt tas radikālais žests bija svarīgs, lai pievērstu uzmanību, lai iegūtu kaut kādu vietu, kaut kādu telpu šim te mākslas veidam. Latvijā tā specifika ar tīklu mākslu ir tāda, ka nav Latvijā tāda tīra tīklu mākslinieku, jo visi mākslinieki, kas ir taisījuši tīklu mākslas darbus, strādā arī citos mēdījos. Un ir faktiski, pasaulē arī nav nemaz tik daudz tādu, ja, teiksim, Jodi duo, ja, tie varbūt ir tādi, zināmākie, kas tiešām vēl joprojām strādā šajā pašā mēdījā, ja, un, nezinu, vai viņi kādreiz to mainīs un kaut ko citu arī izmēģinās, bet tie ir tādi pirmie, kas ienāk prātā. Te ir ekrāna attēli no dažiem darbiem, kas ir parādījuši, kur pēc tam arī pieejami vienā no mūsu serveriem. Tur ir Korpo un Rīgas ziedi, ja, darbi Gabrāns un Oskars Poikāns. Un te ir daži ekrāna attēli un apraksti arī par to saglabāt kā izstādi, kur jau mēs izlikām, ja teiksim, nu tā iepriekšējā tā tīklmākslas izstāde bija savā ziņā dizainēta tā, ka tie monitori, jūs redzējāt, ir iestrādāti tur un viņi apskatām tādu, nu, to atnāc un paskaties to, kas monitorā. Tad šeit mēs izstādījām pilnīgi pretēji ar visiem datoriem, kas ir redzami, ja tur datori tik noslēgti. Te ir redzami visi datori, visi vadi, visi tā aparatūra un aprīkojums, kas ir ap to darbu. Un speciāli tika meklēti, ja tīklmākslā bija plakanie jau tajā laikā, 2010. gadā monitori, ja, tad šeit speciāli tika meklēti un pēc mākslinieku pieprasījuma izstādīt šie te vecie CRT monitori, kā daļa no faktiski tā laika estētikas.
Kurā gadā? 2013.
13. gadā tā bija, jā. Daži gadu vēl, arī tīmā. Un tad, jā, saglabāšanas stratēģijas un dokumentēšana, tur var daudz un gari plaši runāt. Tu teici, man cik ir 5 minūtes?
Jā.
Nepaspēšu. Sorry. Jā. Tad, kad es sāku to rakstīt, tas ir kaut kāds 12., 13., 14. gadu, nu, jā, līdz 14. varētu teikt. Tad diezgan maz, bija dažādas iniciatīvas par šo darbu saglabāšanu, bet diezgan maz kaut kas notika institucionāli. Šobrīd jau tas ir, nu, kļūst par normālu praksi un CKM muzejs un centrs Vācijā ārkārtīgi profesionāli nodarbojās ar jauno mediju mākslas un ne tikai arī mediju mākslas plašāku saglabāšanu. Viņi pat strādā priekš tādām lielām institūcijām kā MoMA, lai saglabātu šos darbus. Viņiem ir, nu, gan tehniskie resursi, gan cilvēku resursi, lai to izdarītu. Projekts Piens, ja, ir milku projekts, ko RIXC kopā ar Esteru Polaku un Ievu Auziņu taisīšu, arī tiek restaurēts CKM-ā, jo tā viena daļa ir flashā, Adobes flashā taisīt, kas vairs nedarbojās. Nu jā, Vaigala citāts, es ar Vaigalu tikos vairākas reizes un tas arī viņa, nu, ideja par to, ka būtu milzīgi nepieciešams ļoti liels datubāzes, kurš tad varētu pārmeklēt dažādi mākslīgā intelekta algoritmi, lai varētu noteikt, tā teikt, kā viņš saka, taisnīgumu vārdā, mākslas taisnīgumu vārdā, lai varētu pārmeklēt un darbus, kas jau ir interpretācija no iepriekš redzētā, nesaukt par oriģinālu darbiem, drīzāk skatīt viņus kontekstā ar iepriekš esošiem un līdzīgiem darbiem, jo, kā Vēbels saka, nu, ja tu pietiekoši ilgi esi šajā vidē un apmeklē regulāri gan festivālus, gan izstādes, gan interesējies par šo te jomu, tad tu konstatē, ka, nu, ļoti daudz jau ir interpretācijas par kaut ko esošu un vienkārši nezināšanas dēļ. Varbūt tās viņus var uzskatīt par kaut ko jaunu un inovatīvu, bet patiesībā šī te, nu, viņa tāda utopiskā vīzija par to, ka varētu uzbūvēt tādas milzīgas datubāzes, kur tad varētu arī pārskatīt un savilkt šīs saites kopā ar kaut ko esošu. Otrs teorētiķis, ar ko es tikos, ir Bernārs Sereksē. Arī CKM-ā strādāja vienu laiku, tad Agnes kopā ar viņu taisīja izstādi, festivāla izstādi. Kurā? 18. gadā, kad bija bibliotekā skatām mūsu nacionālajā bibliotekā.
Novērošana vislielākajā
Novērošana.
mērā, ja tur kaut
Jā, nu lūk, viņš savukārt ārkārtīgi izceļ to jautājumu, ka, teiksim, nu, tas tehniskais jautājums ir sekundārs, ka to jau atrisinās vienalga kaut kādā veidā, bet primārais ir šis te, nu, tikšana skaidrībā par to tradīciju, kā mēs saglabājam vispār savu vēsturiskumu, kā eiropieši, piemēram. Un cik tālu mums ir svarīgi tas, ka tas darbs tiešām neatšķiras no tā, kāds viņš bija oriģināli. Kaut arī mēs zinām, ka, nu, viss mainās un, piemēram, to pašu tīklu mākslu vēl joprojām ir dažādi autori ar dažādiem uzskatiem. Viena, kas ir tāda, nu, viskonservatīvākie uzskati, ka tie tīkla mākslas darbi ir jāskatās tikai tā laika pārvalku programmās, respektīvi kaut kādā ļoti vēsturiskā Netscape pārvalkā, kurš tagad vairs neeksistē, vai atkal kādā vecā Internet Explorerī. Jo ir pilnīgi cita ekrāna izšķirtspēja, tajā laikā bija cita krāsu gama un cits datora ātrums arī gala beigās. Tā kā, nu, te ir runa par to, kurā brīdī. RIXC vienmēr piemin, teiksim, vecās katedrāles kaut vai, kur augšā ļoti augstu, tur 100 metru augstumā ir skulptūras, kuras tiek atjaunotas autentiskajā materiālā. Un tāpēc, ka viņš ir pētījis katedrāles, tieši tāpēc viņam ir šis piemērs, viņš saka, un mēs viņus neaizstājām ar plastmasas skulptūrām, kaut arī no apakšas to pilnīgi nevarētu atšķirt. Nu, te ir arī šis te jautājums par to, cik pūļi ieguldīt, lai un tas drīzāk ir jautājums, man liekas, jau profesionāļiem. Nu, lūk, savukārt, jā, Veideltas uzskats, ka vajag uzkrāt pēc iespējas vairāk, jo mēs nezinām, kas tad būs svarīgs no tā visa. 4 tādas stratēģijas, un tad es pāriešu pie kaut kādiem piemēriem, kuras tiek arī piekoptas un droši vien kaut kādā veidā viņas pārklājās vai viņas tiek miksētas. Ir tā uzglabāšanas stratēģija, ko CFKM ļoti labi piekopj, visām viņām ir budžets vajadzīgs ļoti liels. Uzglabāšanai, teiksim, lai naudžu un paigu darbus uzturētu tajā laikā, kad es rakstīju darbu, tad RIXC man teica, ka viņiem ir ap 2000 televizoru priekš tiem dažiem paigu darbiem, kas ir viņu kolekcijā. Bet viņi gribēja ielākoties vēl. Jo tie televizori agri vai vēl, viņi tāpatās iziet no ierīces. Es zinu, ka naudžu un paigu centrā Korejā arī ir uzkrāts milzīgs daudzums ar šiem televizoriem. Tad migrācija, atjaunošana, tā ir tāda, diskutabla stratēģija, jo, principā, atjaunojot uz jaunākām tehnoloģijām, to darbu kaut kas jau, pazudīs un kaut kas izmainīsies. Bet, to piekopšana, tā ir tāda reāla tādā ziņā, ka tas darbs tiešām var darboties neatkarīgi no tā, kas viņam tur aizmugurēja. Ja tā tehnoloģija nav būtiska, nav daļa no darba estētikas, tad, man liekas, ka tā ir viena no tādām stabilākajām un drošākajām stratēģijām. Emulācija savukārt ir tieši pretēji, viņi saglabā šo te, arī tās konkrētās tehnoloģijas estētika, piemēram, netāku darbi ir daudz emulēti, kur var apskatīties vecajā pārvalku programmā uz vecās operētājas sistēmas ar ļoti tādu aizturētu internetu ātrumu. Un pārinterpretēšana, kas ir visradikālākā, es neko neesmu dzīvē redzējis tādu konkrētu no viņas, jo te ir vairāk viņa tāda vēlamā stratēģija par to, ka darbu varētu pārinterpretēt līdzīgi, kā tas ir ar lūkām teātrī. Ka katreiz režisors uzver pēc saviem ieskatiem šo te lūmu, pārinterpretējot, atstājot varbūt tikai rakstīto tekstu, bet pārinterpretēt pilnībā to savā veidā. Un kaut kas tāds varētu būt arī ar mākslu. Mārtiņš Ratniks te ir viens no tādiem darbiem, kurš nav saglabāts, 27 televizoru siena, un tas ir 2 kadru darbs, kas izmanto puslauku specifiku televīzijā, kad tiek rādīts vai pār vai nepār līnijas. Televīzijas kadrs ir sadalīts līnijās. Tieši tāda tehniskā specifika, un viņš tiek spēlēts. Tā ir visa viena liela bilde, un viņi spēlēt no DVD, no 27 DVD, no katra viens tāds maziņš fragmentiņš. Šo darbu viņam ir tā specifika tāda, ka viņš ir kā ir statisks, bet viņam ir tāds viegls flikers, jo nemitīgi mainās tās līnijas. Nav pilns kadrs nekur. Tagad tas, teiksim, uz plakanējiem televizoriem viņi nav iespējams. Viņi var simulēt, bet tā autentiski viņi nevar parādīt. Tāpēc tas tāds interesants gadījums. Mums ir televizors stāv no tā es nezinu, vai kādreiz vēl televizors. Tad te ir daži tādi, jā, teiksim, tas pats mūsu exchange projekts, kas ir Old Web Today, tas vairs nestrādā, bet bija tāds projekts, kur varēja izvēlēties. Viņš ir kā darbojās, bet nekas tur nenotiek. Tur vēl joprojām var izvēlēties pārvalku programmu, var izvēlēties, kura gada, teiksim, no kuru gadu arhīvu grib skatīties to darbu, un tad viņi parāda tajā vai citā pārvaldu programmā. Te ir 3 citi tādi varianti, ko es arī pieminēju, kas ir dīvaini mazliet. Ir 2 mākslinieki, Roberts Kraus un Konstanta Dulāra projekts Netār Database Org, kur viņi, kā jūs redzat, ir YouTube video 2 gabali, viens blakus otrā. Vienā ir skatītājs, kas skatās uz tā laika datoru to tīklu mākslas darbu, un otrā ir ekrāna attēls no tā tīklu mākslas darbu. Un, tā ir vairāk kā tāda dokumentējoša pieredze, bet redz, ir arī ņemts ne tikai tas, ka ir ierakstīts šis te video no ekrāna, bet arī tas skatītājs tajā viņa tā laika situācija, tāds sociālais aspekts. Tad šis te ir Rafaela Rozendāla paša ierakstīts YouTube video, kurā viņš iziet cauri visām savām weblapām, viņas tiešām tur ir daudz, un nodemonstrē viņas un izstāst faktiski to funkcionālo pusi, kas ir šīm te weblapām aizmugurē. Tagad gan viņš viņus visi tas ir Flash sākumā, Adobe Flashā taisīts, tagad viņš viņus pārcēlis ir HTML5 un viņas darbojās atkal vismaz lielākā daļa no šiem te animācijām. Bet to viņš pats tādu, 16. gadā, ja nemaldos, ierakstīja šādu te YouTube video. Šis ir visjaukākais, tas ir Keith Bantings, un es viņu varbūt pat drusku varu parādīt. Keith Bantings viens no tādiem agrīniem tīklu māksliniekiem, kurš pirmais paziņoja, ka viņš iet pensijā, respektīvi viņš beidz darboties tīklu mākslā un vispār mākslā, bet viņam ir tādi, daži būtiski darbi tā laika 90. gadu darbi. Un te viņš tos darbus vienkārši izstāsta tajā video.
In 1996, Mike Stubbs, who's been one of my principal supporters, offered me a commission. We were in the pub. He said, Candies, what are you working on? I've got a budget of £50. You must be able to think of something to do with that. And inspired by the meekness and the generosity of the EMAP, I combined with my interest in the hype about everyone's going to get rich on the internet. I thought it'd be really good to become the first internet beggar. In fact, I became second once I actually researched the idea. I saw that someone had already done it. But they were asking people to send them cash or money orders, and I thought it'd be a stage up to accept credit cards. So I got this site up where people could type in their credit card numbers and put their name and donate money to me. Claimed to be the first internet beggar. The project was called Skin. I think actually. I think that might be the theme of Route 90, whatever it was, the Alternative Arts Festival. Anyway, with a lot of these projects, you either nothing happens or you're surprised, and within I think it was like a week or so, I'd already received pledges of, I think it was £3,500 via this credit card system, online credit card system. Typical for me, plastic underachiever, I had no way to transact that money. So it just sat there.
Tā viņš izstāst par...
Pagad, man liekas, ka Raiti izstāst latviski. Jā, izstāst visu latviski samarāciju vienkārši, jo visu to darbu nezinu.
Latviski? Angliski? Es latviski stāstīju. Šo pastāstīt?
Šo konkrēti, jā.
Jā. Smieklīgākais, tas, ka viņš izstāst vienkārši saviem vārdiem šos te darbus. Bet daži no viņiem arī ir izstāstām. Tā bija vienkārši mājaslapa, kurā varēja, kur tādā, poētiskā tekstiņā bija uzrakstīts, kur viņš apspēlēja to, ka internets tiek saukts par superhighway, informācijas superlielceļu tajā laikā. Tāpat kā tagad ir mākoņu serveri un vēl viss kaut kas, tad tajā laikā tā poētika bija šis superlielceļš. Un Bantings sev pasludināja par internetu ubagu, par ubagu, kas sēž tajā lielceļa malā un lūdz naudu. Un tā bija tāda mājaslapa, kur tiešām tikai tas teksts un varēja ierakstīt šo te naudu, cik grib viņam samaksāt, un kredītkārti norādīt kredītkārtas numuru. Un, kā jau viņš teica, tad tur, var sakot, viņam nebija naudas, lai viņš šo te servisu varētu abonēt un nekad tā arī ko naudu nedabūt. Tie projekti ir izstāstām, jā, un tas ir diezgan arī interesanti. Šis ir vēl tāds, man liekas, jaukāks, kur tas vispār ir tāds sīzika darbs, kur Oļa Ļāņina un Konstants Dragans Espanšīts ir, tad, kad bija tāds Geocities servis, kur katrs varēja izveidot sev mājaslapu ar kaut kādām pāris apakšlapām, man liekas, vai kaut ko tādu. Es zinu, ka no Latvijas Pēters Ķimels tādu uztaisīja kā tādu mākslas projektu. Tas bija tāds viens no tā laika tipiskiem tiem webhoteļiem saucamajiem. Viņi nopirka Yahoo, viņš beidz pastāvēt. Yahoo paziņoja, ka pēc kaut kādu laiku viņi vienkārši slēg šo servisu. Oļa un Dragans ņēma un lejuplādēja visu to. Un tad viņiem saucās tas projekts 1 terabyte of kilobyte age, jo tās slapiņas kilobaitos, jā, un tiešām ir milzīgi daudz ielādējumi. Tas ir pieejams tīklā, uz Tumblrī. Var visas tās pirmās lapas iziet cauri un apskatīties. Tāds ārkārt aktīvs. Bet tas, kas man patika Oļas izstādē, kas bija, ko es redzēju, viņi bija izlikusi variāciju par šo darbu, un viņi bija pārfotografējis pārcēlus diapozitīvos daļu no šīm te lapām, un vienkārši ar slaidu projektoriem uz sienas rādīja ar to griežamo, kas ir tas apaļais slaidu projektors, viņi vienkārši bezpalīgi rulēja viņš. Netāda antoloģija uz Rizomas serveru tālāk, jo es apskatu, var sakot, visus tos, kas ir grāmatā iekļauti tādi projekti. Tajā laikā viņa vēl tapa. Tagad jau tas ir tā kā nobeigts projekts, 19. gadā viņa pabeidza, un tur ir kaut kāds 100 laikam netādi darbi, kuri ir emulēti. Var parādīt vienu no viņiem, kā tas izskatās, jā, aiziet, teiksim, teikt to darbu, un tad ir webstalkers, tas bija kāds tajā laikā tāds darbiņš, kur faktiski viņš tā kā, māksliniecisks pārlūks vai radikāls pārlūks, varētu teikt, jā. Tā vietā, lai rādītu to lapas dizainu, viņš vairākos logos rādīja to, kas nav redzams skatītājiem. Teiksim, ir source kods no lapas, šeit ir atkal linku karti, te ir tas lapas, tas sākums, tā lapa, kas tiek atvērta, un tad ir visas apakšlapas, kas atrodas, kas ir piesaistītas, un tad ir pārējās vēl kaut kāda ārēja linki, kas ir. Un ar viņu var darbināt, un tas emulators, kas šobrīd uz Rizomas serveriem, jā, apmēram tā arī izskatās. Es nezinu, kas tagad būs, jo es pats viņu neesmu darbinājis, bet principā ir tas, Nē, tur ir jāpalaid. Tas ir Windows sākuma mūziciņa. Es nezinu, kas tāda ir, laikam nav. Vārds sakot, es tagad esmu uz kaut kādu desktopu, es varu izlasīt to, kas man jādara, un es varu palaist to, viņš gāja tikai uz Windows. Tas darbs var palaist to ekspēles, viņš taisīts makromēdijas direktoru tajā laikā. Un tad tagad jāuzvelk tas loks bija. Es vairs neatceros, bija jāraksta priekšā. Vai nebija jāraksta? Labi, mums nav laika tagad eksperimentēt, kamēr es tagad tikšu galā.
Mēs tajā diskusijas to pusstundā.
Jā, bet ir tā emulācija darbojās tiešām, jā, tas ir. Lūk, tad ir Rizoma turpinājusi to, un šobrīd ir pabeigts. Šis ir pavisam jauns, kas ir web recorder, ja? Tā ir tāda, kas ir viņa tā kā atdalījusies no Rizomas, bet tur apakšā daži cilvēki tikai. Un šo te turpina kā open source projektu jau konkrēti cilvēki, kuri programmē rīkus, online rīkus, lai varētu saglabāt tās vai citas weblapas, tos vai citus web projektus. Un savukārt zem Rizonas apakšā ir šis koniferu projekts, kas arī turpinās jau un izmanto arī web rekorderu rīkus, lai saglabātu kaut kādus konkrētus mākslas projektus webā. No Latvijas, ko es arī vienlaikus, kamēr es rakstīju, arī tapa šis te projekts, kas ir Pietur LV, un tas ir ne viss, bet ļoti liels NSRD audio arhīvs, kas pieejams ir online. Var iet vienkārši. Tā nebija deklāta, tas aizdev nākamo. Neko, un mēs pirms 2 gadiem pabeidzām, vai pirms 2 laikam, šo te RIXC iesākto internetu arhīvu, un te konkrēti Kristīnas Kursišs, tur šobrīd ir noarhivēti kaut kādi 6 darbi. Te ir Kristīnas Kursišs darbs Zīlnieks internetā, kur ir neliels apraksts par to darbu, un šis darbs arī strādā. Viņu var apskatīties, un viņš ir restaurēts, viņš darbojas ar visiem, tikai jāatļauj tie pop-up logi. Bet, ja izritim tālāk, tad ir, piemēram, flash darbs, nav mums bijuši pagaidām resursi, lai to flash darbu restaurētu, bet viņš ir ierakstīts kā video šeit šobrīd. Vienkārši iziet cauri skurpulos, pilnīgi visām animācijām, visiem ekrāniem, ko Rīgas Zieds taisīja. Tur 3 autori, Reinis Petersons, Miks Mitrēvis un Jānis Avotiņš, un te ir kaut kā 27 animācijas, visas taisītas flashā. Tajā laikā tas bija ļoti advancēts darbs, jo, faktiski, viņi vēl kā viena no pirmajiem, man liekas, tas 2000. gads, kas tika advancēta Latvijā uztaisīja šādu flash darbu. Un tad, principā, ar to arī var beigt. Tur beigās man tur ir tādi secinājumi. Tā grāmatā, kas mums tur ir. Viss. Man liekas, jā. Grāmata, es varu teikt, ir pieejama grāmatnīcā, Rozes grāmatnīcā un RIXC. Viss. Paldies. Tā, mēs tagad varam pārsprausties.
Jautājums chatā. Pēc tam mēs paņemsim jautājumu. Ja kāds dzird, man tas jau nezinu. Jautājums četā un jāsardzies, mēs pēc Leona prezentācijas.
So you'll need some
Nosīsim jums jautājumus, parunāsim. Arī jautātāji. Pacienāties, jā. Nav bijuši paziņots.
So for yourself, I guess, Martin?
Yeah. Tā.
And then when you play the video, then mute.
Good, sir. Speaking. So we're running a little behind, so I'm not sure if I should just skip to the last project, because Ras is saying show some of my other work. Are we under pressure for time? We're a little bit behind. Everyone's happy. I can show some of my older projects and then go through it.
Just use your time because there's nobody else up to you, so.
Okay.
Yeah, please take your time, we want to hear everything.
Sure. But thank you so much to RIXC and Agnes and Rasa and Raitis and Liva for having me here. I've been here in Riga close on 2 months now. And I came at the start of August and I really got to see the kind of change in seasons. So it was very, very hot and I could barely use my laptop in the middle of August. I think I met here just for a drink one day and we were both kind of dripping, and now I've got like my scarf on and 2 jackets and things, so it's nice to get the full season. I didn't get an idea of that it's just always sunny here. It's good to see both sides. Yeah, my name is Butler. I'm an artist and designer and educator. I work in the University of Ireland, and yeah, I've been working at that for about 15 years. So I kind of started out studying design, doing kind of 3D, and then making little kind of animations like this that I could send around to film festivals and things like that. And it was kind of the start of the internet, so there wasn't as much place to post these things, but it was kind of fun making them. And I just had a small room in the town I was living in. I used to animate in the evening and then hit render at night. So these would render on my little computer, so I got kind of used to the sound of a fan running beside my bed all the time. Kind of missed it when it wasn't happening. And then in like 2008, I suppose the same as here, we had a bit of financial crash. I've been working like kind of making animations and renderings for the housing market, and there was none of that anymore. We couldn't sell the real houses, never mind the fake ones that I was building. So I went back and did a master's in digital media, and there I started learning how to use processing and some creative code and some different things, and that was a really kind of changing point for me. And this project I made in SBA in New York. It was a generative typeface that I programmed, and I suppose it was the start of kind of looking at my practice a bit more, which is the kind of tension between the machine and the art. And even this like caused some problems at the time. There were some people who were giving out about it. I was kind of falling out with some of the hardcore typographers who were saying, "You're doing nothing, the machine is making everything." And I was like, do you not use like RoboFont or glyphs or something? I think you're using a computer, I'm just using it in a different way. But I think it was good to have that argument, because you know, if you're annoying people a little bit, you're doing something right. It's kind of a little bit kind of punk rock or something. So then in my own practice then I was using the kind of 3D animation and the programming to make kind of different kind of images. And I was, you know, I had my own kind of like design firm doing that, so it was kind of nice to kind of mix those two things together and use it in a practical way. And then in 2017 I went to Los Angeles to work in this agency called 72 and Sunny, and they wanted us to work on kind of art projects and commercial projects and kind of create things. So we made this experience art show in the arts district of downtown LA called Desired. That was all about the American obsession with the avocado, and it's kind of symbol of wealth, and things never goes for avocado toast. And so we kind of made a ridiculous show where if you touch the avocados, it would make sounds, so you could kind of fondle them, it would make kind of sexual noises. And then we made a 10-foot avocado called the Americado, which is the biggest avocado in the world. And then we had a kind of a food porn kind of thing and different things around it. So it's a really fun show. They brought a lot of their clients there to show the experience. And then we had a kind of a pop-up shop alongside it where we had branded merchandise and things. So it was good for them. And at the same time, I was working on client accounts, so working on the Starbucks account to kind of create, they've got this Christmas holiday cup sort of situation where they launch it every year, and we had to kind of come up with ideas. So we made an augmented sharing app so you could share it. It was kind of around the time of Pokemon Go and things like that. And so we had that, so kind of commercial and art projects at the same time, which was really great. And out of that, I kind of like still work with some of the guys. So we made kind of internet kind of pieces which were like half a side of a text conversation of people falling in love. So you kind of see half of it, this lived on the internet, but as Raitis the technology changed, so it doesn't run anymore. So we just have it. And actually, even just making this project, I switched from an older Mac to this Mac for the project, and it broke the project for a week. I couldn't ask for permissions on the camera on this. It took me so long to figure it out. So I'm feeling that pain of doing it. So that kind of brings me up to 2021. I was just going to look in depth at a couple of projects. I've got videos, but I'm not playing them. So the first was Shelter in Place, and it's kind of an examination of place and personal space, and we're all kind of locked down at that time in 2020, and so we wanted to enable people to share their experience. So we did audio interviews, and then we used a simple open source phone app that's actually been discontinued to create volumetric space, so people could scan their space and send it to us, and then we would place them in a virtual reality environment on the internet, and we overlaid it with their stories. So this is people using the app just to scan their spaces, and it was kind of LiDAR pieces, so it was actually it was such a handy app. I was so annoyed when I think Facebook bought it and shut it down, which was kind of annoying. But then we had these interesting spaces, and it was kind of low res and kind of fun, but people seemed to really like creeping in other people's spaces and kind of seeing what other people's environments were like. So you can kind of see what's on the laptop and walk around it, and then there was audio to kind of go with that. So at the moment we're developing this into a bigger project. We've got a really big chunk of funding from the Arts Council to make a stand-up show of this that will tour and take it to the next phase. So that will very much a kind of a lockdown project. So this will have a sort of entry place where you find the sound sculptures. There's interactive sculpture projection, and then an immersive kind of space room where you'll kind of be in virtual space with also some two-way mirrors and glass, so you see yourself in the space, so it kind of creates an authentic kind of piece. And then I have a video on it here. Will I play the video, or will I just skip forward? Sure. Just kind of explains the piece and the motivations around it a little bit.
As communities, we've become intimate with the experience of isolation during this pandemic. Our vulnerability has been confronting, and we've been doing so in majority small spaces, surrounded by our histories, our possessions, our experiences. This has distorted the passage of time and elevated our domestic space into a world of accidental personal monuments. During this time, we've all felt the need to recommit to escape our own stories and be present in the stories of others. I think this was on both our minds when we came across this software that allows you to map the three-dimensional space around you using a series of photographs and GPS coordinates. You can see here that it's creating a sort of dot matrix around objects in real time. That allows you to make these spaces come to life in 3 dimensions. And what you're left with is a sort of memory of the objects.
And so the actual capture and creating of the point cloud, the image texture map here, we see the rendered part that actually recreates and reconstructs this based on overlapping images and overlapping pixels. And that mapped onto the point cloud allows it to reconstruct the space. And it's not just for these indoor spaces, we can also look at outdoor spaces, buildings that we feel may not always be there, buildings that we pass every day, natural light allows for the foreground tree. And we actually capture them and move around them in this way, it allows you to appreciate them in a different space.
Obviously, this technology can be used to capture entire areas or even cities, but we were more interested in internal stories, the unseen spaces, the domestic, these places where we were living through this international catastrophe.
You know, capturing this space in this way was something that we were working with for a while, doing volumetric capture, hacking different bits of hardware and software, but switching to this programmetry method really allowed us to make it accessible to anyone to capture their space just using their smartphone.
In order to help people actually connect to this digital realm, we use other immersive narrative devices, such as surround sound or music, storytelling, level design, lighting design. Even the aesthetic of the world makes a huge difference in this. But we felt it was really important that any technology we use would be widely available and almost open source, so that power to create these beautiful spaces wouldn't be just ours, but would be something that could be handed over to the audience itself. With this in mind, we want to collaborate with our audiences over the next year to create a digital monument to these hidden stories and inequalities that we've been experiencing during this time.
A lot of people talked about the quarantine as, you know, the virus not discriminating against anyone. It very much did discriminate in terms of what place you were. If you had a place to yourself, you had a place where you could work, be safe, shelter, not worry about who you were with.
What we can create is mutual spaces shared with one another that we can literally walk around inside. We can be with each other in new ways when old ways were not possible. We can see parts of ourselves that are unseen and create a genuine intimacy across a digital space that maybe has not existed before.
Yeah, so that was there's a series of levels that you could go through. There's a series of levels that you could go through and kind of experience different people's stories in different people's space, and they were on a kind of a beta platform called RIXC, I think was the one. It was developed by Reina. So it was interesting to be able to just put stuff up online and allow people to do what people seem to like it. So that's what I'm doing, yeah. So then as part of the Dublin Theatre Festival and subsequently South by Southwest in Austin in Texas, we made this piece called Emperor 101, and it's kind of exploring real-time virtual reality and live performance, so the audience is immersed in an alternative digital world, and it's kind of like going on to like Trump's social media channel, like Truth platform, where they can say whatever they want, and so you meet the audience. This is us rehearsing. You meet an actor in real life, and then they invite you to come into their safe space, and you put on a headset, and then you meet the actors again in virtual space. So there's lots of kind of development stuff we're doing for maybe like a year, kind of developing and trying to work on the tech, and it's meant to be bigger and more complicated. And this was the main character C, who we have, and then Carl. And so you meet him in this space, and he's like the minion who brings you around the virtual reality space. And it's because it's a one-person show. When you come in, they talk to you and say hello, and then in the virtual reality space, they say your name. So it's not like a boxed experience, it's different every time. Everyone has a different experience of it. And in South by Southwest, when we did it, the actors were still in Ireland with headsets on, talking to people in Austin over the network. So it's kind of complicated. Actually, the actress went on holidays to Marbella in the middle of it and took her headset with her, so she was talking on Oculus. But the legs are a bit ridiculous because you can't move the legs when we're rigging the characters. You give the headset will move the head, you can have bows for the thing, the legs won't move, so they just kind of drag behind. So we just thought, like, let's make them useless legs and then make them look like they should drag behind. This is the C character, and we're kind of soliloquying in the original sketch I made on my iPhone. Very complex. This is what I'm thinking. Don't keep it up with it. And so you can see the actors are all in booths here. That's the person experiencing it. So you've got one actor, two actors. You meet in the middle here, and then this is the main actress actress who you meet virtually first, and then you meet in real life afterwards. So she found it complicated using the character. She felt like it was puppeteering, was the best way she could describe it, because she had to move the character so her gestures are very up and very down, and we gave her the ability to scale so she could get bigger in the character and lean down, and then she also had a button for multiply and things like that. But the actors had never really used virtual reality before, so they kept breaking stuff on purpose. They really liked it. They'd be like, why can't I walk through this wall? And I'd be like, oh sorry, we haven't put a collider script there. And they were like, no, I love it. I'm going to walk out of the wall. So they're kind of strange beta testers to use for the piece. And then again, I have a little video. It's just about 2 minutes long, so.
This one, I think today is probably the most challenging.
So that's great.
So you kind of look to, oh, how did that company do it? How did that company do it? How did it work? Clean, simple, not.
Sorry, I'm not sure what's up by.
This, for me, is the most unique work that I've encountered in terms of the narrative, the live performance with actors in a multi-user, multi-audience platform. So we've created our own avatars, our own environments, our own worlds, and then the actors are live inhabiting and embodying those avatars. And now we're actively able to rehearse in there, and the amount of learnings that we're getting from the actors, going through the show over and over again, and finding those nuances, both in terms of performance and script and say moving from space to space and all of those kind of transition moments. So we're able to really kind of fine-tune the piece.
It's really kind of extraordinary, because there's this virtual platform that you have to operate in, and each character, there are 2 main characters, and they each have their own avatar. And for that avatar, you are essentially puppeteering, I suppose, the avatar while you're in a virtual space. But while you're in the virtual space, you also have to realize what your real space is, so you're existing on 2 planes simultaneously. So that can be tricky, so you need to know your lines.
That's one thing that they have.
No, I know!
Script.
What is the string? Look. Not really wasn't stable. Reality. The will is there. So if you're eating back.
And so she comes out of the real world, and she's kind of a conspiracy theorist. And it's kind of a conspiracy theorist thing, and she wants to be the Queen of Ireland. And then he pushed you out the back door, and there's nothing, you're just on the street. But the theatre festival were like, maybe we'll put a volunteer standing at the back door, you know. And we're like, no, like you can't, like hand the flyer or something else. It has to be a kind of a dump out. So that was, yeah. And when we went to Texas, then we kind of, because it was a 1-person show, we let people be spectators, so 6 people could go in and watch 1 person have the experience with them. So it'll still tour a little more, I think. So that brings me up to surveillance performance, which is the research project that I've been working on here, and this is kind of what I wrote at the start of it a while ago now, is to investigate the tools of their use for oppression, for expression. So leverage kind of infrastructures of surveillance and control, and both kind of hardware and software tools to reimagine them as a performance part. So that allows it to kind of be elastic and move around to locations, and people are really bad at protecting their CCTV cameras. No one puts passwords and things, so it actually allows you to kind of go different places in the world. And it's been strange doing this, because I've spent a lot of time staring at the computer and different people in different places that I've seen. So it kind of started when, this is an article from Ireland, the Gardaí who are the police, were looking to use real-time face recognition under legislation, and we're like, oh, is that okay? Are we going to be okay with that? Is that what's going to happen? And then even further than that, I've been talking about the kind of Iran's use of the facial recognition to enforce hijab laws, and I've been looking at cameras in Tehran, and I'm kind of looking at it going like, I can see your face, I can definitely do this is totally possible, and it's unprotected. So you know, how, you know, it's kind of also an awareness project. It's to go like, listen, we're being surveilled, these are things that can happen, here's it presented in a way that's maybe more kind of like playful rather than scary, but it might also get you to question your relationship with it, to know that those tools are kind of out there watching. So I was wondering where I was going to find like lots of cameras, and I found it on GitHub. There's someone had someone thought out with like 2,000 different cameras that are unsecure on it, and how to get into them. And so I started kind of working through these cameras, and there's a lot of unsecure cameras out there, and it's really interesting to look at. And there's different locations. And interesting, one of those is the two of them is in Tehran, in Iran. So you can kind of see that piece. And I started finding ones that I liked more, and ones that I kind of watched for a while. And also stuff that was, it's all durational, but stuff that links in a time zone with being here. Because I was watching it from maybe like 8 in the morning, and then I'd look at it again at night, so what would work? And I suppose if you're moving into a gallery space, then you'd have to consider what the time zone of that gallery and what would work within that. And so I collected all these feeds and fed them into a single piece, and then I was using a piece of software called Runway. I'm not sure if anyone's used it, runwayml.com. It's a machine learning platform that's kind of has a GUI, it's brilliant, really great. And that created an OSC file, and I passed that into processing, and made something at the start that I was like, okay, this is going to kind of use like an ML software or model called PoseNet, which kind of tracks 16 parts of the body and gives you kind of a live puppet of what's there. I'm not sure if this will be too loud. It's okay. And so as people walked across the CCTV screen, it would track their movements and create these parts, and then trigger some MIDI with the OSC from a sampler that we got. Kind of created these kind of moments. And it was kind of like, I was like, it's doing good like recognition, seeing figures, it's very clear, like I can feed different feeds into it, but it didn't really have the right vibe in terms of like being playful. And I kind of missed the CCTV aspect of it, that you couldn't see the feeds, because actually I think they're the most interesting part of it, really. And so, yeah, it just kind of, it was kind of it was kind of doing what I said I was going to do with it in terms of make sound performance with the thing, but it wasn't the right kind of feel. And so, and so, yeah, I kind of created these interesting images to put on screen, but I didn't really love it. And actually cycling through the feed and kind of observing them was like, I started to notice people or things that happened at different times and places. I was like, oh, this is actually more fun to kind of look at. So I started downloading the JPEGs of the different moments, and I was making a little database for myself. So that's an interesting camera, that's an interesting camera. And so I made a little website where people could go and look at some of the cameras that I like, which is like, I can put the link up after, unsecure.cargo, that site. And so you can go and kind of look at these. And I don't know why Japanese and French laundries are so like good. And I don't know, is it like you put your wash on and then you're worried someone's going to rob your washing? So you're watching your camera sitting at home, it's like, is my wash finished yet? Or this camera here again is great. This one is in Riga, and I've watched it for ages and no one's ever come out that door. So I'm kind of like, sometimes you watch them and you go like, I hope something happens now, because like, it can be, and so then I started putting these into a book as well. So I thought like a print publication would actually be really interesting. And it's like, because I'm taking photos and just using someone else's kind of camera. It's just borrowed cameras to make these. So, and the reason I wanted to capture some of these is because they don't work with the face recognition that I use in the second half at all, because they're in the wrong area. There it goes, French laundry. And other people have found these in some organic fish. So yeah, there's different ones that come up, office laundry. I'm obsessed. And there's a few, like, that's a camera in Cornwall, I'm not sure why people even obviously found it before me and changed the name of the camera. So yeah, so this is like a publication that I'm going to, and I'm just blocking people's face there in Iran because I don't want to kind of do it. So this is one of the outcomes. So it's kind of the website and the print publication actually thinks that that's Adobe crashing. I had to leave that in because it just crashed so much. So I went back and used the image set and the camera feeds into processing, and then I used OpenCV, which is a kind of simpler kind of model for tracking faces, and used OS, and then sent that out to OSC to make some audio pieces. And so the face recognition software follows them around the frame, and it creates a kind of a loop of music, a kind of a strange kind of hum, and when there's nothing on screen, you're kind of getting a monotone, and then people come on. And sometimes the software is imperfect, it sometimes sees faces and other things, or it sees too many faces, so it's running around the place trying to find lots of faces, but it's always kind of strange and survive. So if it's in this gallery space, we just have a projector and plinth, and then this little mono pad would allow you to cycle through different feeds. Because watching one feed that I select is okay, but maybe nothing's happening, so you want to look at another one, so you can kind of hotkey along a number of different kind of feeds that we select with that. And kind of also has volume, so Liva doesn't have to listen to the music all day long. If it's on, she can go and turn it down. And so I made like a little video of what just the last 2 or 3 days since just to, because it is really kind of durational. It does like happen over a long period of time, so this is compressed into kind of 2 minutes of some stuff that happened. And then I hit mute before I play this. And so yeah, this is kind of what it runs like. So have a look. Can you turn up the speaker a little bit? Turn up the volume. Just a little bit, I think. Is it here then? Yeah. So as these people move across the frame, it starts to and so it doesn't pick up their face, it doesn't triangulate that sort of piece, so you don't get it as much. And there's one guy who went to that laundry where the two guys were, and the entire time he was there, he sat like this, kind of covering. I was like, he knows I'm watching, so he knows something's up, yeah. And so that's kind of where it's at now. Maybe do something more with the music, with machine learning and Ableton and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of happy with what came out at the end compared to the kind of dots at the start. It's a bit serious. Great.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, you could both sit there because
I just wanted to ask about sound actually. For the last piece you showed. About the sound. Can you explain a little bit more about the sound? So
it's like a
how did you choose?
It's a kind of 3-channel oscillator piece, and they change the oscillation by moving around the frame. And so I kind of trained the audio with different things. So I used my face, webcam, so I've got that in a hidden channel, and I move around the frame and train different locations where it sits on the piece. And once I've trained it, then I can switch it to a CCTV feed, and it will move around and kind of change that sound for you.
Okay. And the frequency of the sound, it's chosen by you?
Yeah. I kind of trained it up just to kind of give it like I wanted areas where just a holding tone when nothing was happening, but if quite a lot was going on, then it would really control the oscillation and create a lot of kind of vibration in the sound, to kind of give that kind of movement in it. But yeah, it's also OSC out, so I was connecting it to a sampler as well that we had, so I was kind of creating that. The samplers, it was giving very short clips, like they were very short, short pieces. That felt more linear, the sound on it. They kind of keeping it longer, and it felt like it kind of cut from one scene to another and kept different sounds. And when the audience interact with it, that it jumps a little bit as you move, so it gives you audio indication as well as the picture.
Okay. So the final format will be installation or video or both. How you mentioned?
No, definitely just installation.
Yeah.
Just installation. Like the video is just to kind of capture what happens over a short period of time, but like it's really durational. You can actually spend time with it. You can kind of come in and go. That camera's interesting right now. The post office camera, when I start in the morning, if I'm starting at 9, they're 2 hours behind. They don't pull doors until 11 o'clock here, so there's nothing happening there. And then around lunchtime, when people are off work, something different happens there. And then the cameras that are in like Russia kind of are further ahead, so they kind of have nothing going on, or they have different things going on at different times. So yeah, it's interesting, and like feeds come and go a little bit. Sometimes one will drop and things like that. So yeah, maybe like a publication that kind of pauses the kind of imagery, and then like the live kind of installation piece would be the idea. And if anyone is thinking of applying to EMAP, I would definitely recommend it. It's a really, really good program. We went to the launch in Zagreb, and then came here, and there's an equipment budget, and there's accommodation and all those things. And yeah, if anyone does want to apply and wants any advice on their application or anything, I can have a look at it. I'm not sure that'll help. I'm sure I can chat to you about what I did, just, yeah, definitely worth applying to. Are there any questions for Raitis?
No,
No, not Japan.
They're just questions about sound. Welcome.
Jā, es gribēju I just wanted to ask, have you ever managed also to see how the surveillance, those biometric face recognition cameras are built. I mean, what kind, how they because as I understood that you were training by yourself moving around. But do you know how the cameras are, the other surveillance cameras are used to work?
It is just a machine learning set on top of it, you know, so it is using the same kind of, a lot of them are using OpenCV, and kind of, I was doing stuff with blob detection that was kind of doing outlines of people, or using another one called YOLO, YOLO, that is image designation, so it'll say what an image is, you know, so it'll annotate it. And interestingly, you can run all of those on Runway ML and run them with your own cameras, you know, but it was just a different kind of outcome that I was getting from them. So I wanted something that was, because when I went back and thought about that article, was the initial one was about like facial recognition, so I wanted the face tracking as the piece. Like the PoseNet piece was more complex, it kind of tracks your movements in 16 points, but it didn't feel as kind of as authentic as the other piece, you know.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
So I guess what I want to know is, like, how much time does it take for the processing of the, because you've shown us that you get the raw data and you put it through different phases, like different kinds of software, right?
Yeah.
So it's not real time.
Yeah, no, it's real time.
It's real time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like the feeds come in, it goes into processing OpenCV to text faces, and that controls another sketch that has the oscillator in it and moves it real time.
So what I was thinking, in order to raise people's awareness that this problem, which is cameras taking pictures of people totally unaware of what's going on, would it be possible to, when you're recording, using the machine learning algorithms, you extract just a frame of the, where the face of the person is, then you put all the faces on the website, and you create a website saying, you're being watched, .com, right, whatever. And so people can go there and recognize their face, and they're like, whoa.
Someone did a project really similar to this, and I know because all my friends sent it to me, where they tracked cameras and they saw them taking selfies in popular spots. They found them on social media and sent them the image of themselves doing it. So they kind of said in the project that they used OpenCV and face matching to do it. I'm pretty sure they didn't. I think they used like OpenCV to do detection, and then they just kind of looked up people's location tag on Instagram or that's that person, and found them with it. But yeah, it's doing that,
It's doable.
Yeah, it's totally doable. Yeah, it's just, once you have the location of the camera, if you can figure out where it is, you could probably find their social media, or use, even like, you could use like Yandex or one of the reverse image search engines to find people's social media from extracting the frames. It would just be a bit more labor intensive that you take the JPEG, reverse image search, find them, and then tell them. But feel free if you want to. You can get some of the feeds on the website that I have, the secure website, so you can kind of go into these and see what's happening. The one in Ghent, night time, so we're not getting anything there, but at least that white van is gone. This one's old. Strange, because it's kind of a live feed of a billboard. I'm not sure if they need to like see what's up or thing, but you kind of get like live feed of that. And then that's workshop. And this is like a hallway in India. I'm not sure it's like it's not working. Yeah, so you can go and find those and extract faces if you want, and do it. Yeah.
So they all webcams, they're all on the internet?
Yeah, they're all on the JSON Microsoft file. So everyone here in the book has the IP address listed and where it is. So you can kind of go through the publication and kind of, this one's in Russia. So in print, that was the only one, that was the one from Milan that I wanted to block out people's faces because it could have a material effect. But this is a pharmacy, and I can pretty much read what's on the computer. You see people at school, what people are getting. So that's the thing. They're kind of crazy. This is like someone's bed. This is a guy gaming over here. He's like kind of sitting on there streaming his home all the time for some reason. This is the one that someone else found for me and changed the name of the camera. Which is, I suppose there was probably a word limit that you can only have a certain amount of words.
From Russia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's from Russia.
And so,
You showed one from Latvia, so you found more than just one?
yeah, there's lots in Latvia, Riga especially, but they're mostly around the docks, and they're cameras that are kind of focused on watching shipping traffic coming in and out.
Okay.
So it's maybe not as interesting. This one's in Riga as well. So multi-blocks. And I put the make of each camera in it so people can know what sort of camera is better. This, like Office, you can see her on screen. She's on the internet. She's working. And then sometimes this one breaks and you get this kind of image on it, which I think is really interesting, kind of informed and spot color for the piece. This is one of someone just prepping food all the time, so we're cutting fish that day, which is what's interesting. And a lot of that is bad storage kind of stuff, made in French laundry. It's interesting, it tracks a machine that goes and finds prescriptions for people and brings them out. Again, not really good for facial recognition kind of software for the installation, but a beautiful image. It's kind of nicely set, the frame and everything that they did it, so. Yeah, this one's in the US. So again, it's kind of temporal, time of day and things like that, that you can kind of watch them and see what's on there.
I think that after washing this, I'm definitely going to avoid laundry rooms.
Definitely a French and Japanese thing. I'm not sure if it's a cultural kind of thing that they do, but they're kind of Wes Anderson-y, all of them, because they have the repeating kind of patterns of the machines and generally kind of a nice kind of soft palette that they work with. Good photo. Yeah, that's the one in Cornwall that is just constantly kind of fogged over. I think they wanted to have like a surf camera, but they put it behind the window that gets fogged up. But it made a really nice image. I think it's kind of beautiful on its own. So yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at the different cameras and kind of feeding them through to see what worked well in terms of what works well in terms of thing and what kind of feeds through. And some of them are really industrial like this and just watch machinery, and then other parts thing. But this camera, AXIS, AXIS, don't get one of these. They're very available, it seems. But if you do want to do some creative coding with them, they use a motion JPEG, which is a really nice kind of piece to use, so you can get loads of feeds from them really easy. Some of the other ones have login codes and things that you kind of have to get through, and some of the older ones then use Java, and so it tries to make you install something on the browser. And so there's those kind of things that are in there, but yeah. Yeah. That's what I've done the last 2 months, watching people while they fold laundry.
So question for Raitis, right? How early works in new media with surveillance cameras. What were those?
Oh, I remember, yeah, there was, I don't know if you, I don't know, maybe I'll try to find it on YouTube also.
They're not connected.
Oh,
Stop sharing.
I don't know if you're seeing this. I can, oh, yeah. This is without sound, but I just remember this from 80s. There was this group, surveillance camera players. Oh. Oh, this one. Oh, I'm not muted. Oh, let's share the screen. Yeah. This has been archived actually. There was this performance group, they were called not board or surveillance camera players, and they were taking these like self-made posters, so to say, and on the posters there were written some words which created the narrative. So, and then they stood in line in front of a surveillance camera and just came one after another and played out this, with the words, played out this narrative, these stories.
It's like a play for whoever's watching.
Yes.
A play for the staff.
And performances. So I don't know. Videos. I haven't looked at this website for a while, so let's see. Not everything is working there. So. No, I don't know.
It's too old.
No.
But,
No, there's something is working there, but
but in the 90s, with the internet, that's funny.
So because they're quite low resolution as well, they stream quite quick. A lot of them, you know, you kind of get like quick streams in there and interesting.
Oh, there was not the name, but actually
Okay, but maybe, Janis, you can tell a little bit about your big brothers, what it was this artwork in the 90s.
Okay, well,
But it's in the right.
I had this idea of kind of like a dystopian scenario where people would participate in some kind of peer-to-peer reality exchange system. I was partially inspired by there was this phenomenon of reality TV around 2000. I was studying in Germany. There was the next Germany in Holland. There was this Big Brother. There was this TV show that people they were living close. Voluntarily were living in some apartment or house, and they were showing it to the world, and it was kind of edited TV. But then with the advance of internet, because the internet always has some kind of, let's say, mass media features, but there is also some kind of underground movements, you know, the bigger or less. And I thought that would be some kind of, there's this one picture actually from the upper, that one, this imaginary scheme of the person that he could sell in different viewpoints, starting from, you know, showing what the eyes are showing, or kind of could be some internal organ transmission, or kind of yeah, kind of you know, private parts and and so on. So, and that would be combined with the government implanted devices that in the future, of course, a few minutes after the birth, maybe the person would be implanted some kind of chip, to send the health data to the authorities, to live a better and more secure life. So I was putting all kind of ideas together, and I was trying. The context of that was also that there was a competition of ideas about future browsers. There was a competition called International Browser Day in Amsterdam, and I think it's not happening anymore, but it happened for like 5 times. And there was the participants were pitching an idea about 3 minutes. And I mentioned I presented this image and some little kind of videos of kind of traveling from place to place. It was around 2000, 2001. And some of that is actually working now. That you can travel between these different cameras, and with these virtual reality devices, you have these spherical, stereoscopic cameras, and there is a lot of content out there, all recorded and live cameras and some kind of erotic dancers who are they're selling it, and then the people are making some also some meeting rooms and they are selling it. They're making money through kind of selling their or some exotic travels and you have this rudimentary already things there. Some of it is not quite there yet. I mean, what I was thinking, but it was imagined as a kind of parallel economy. Yeah. And it was so you could be hired, and I was trying to make little stories. Maybe I'll revisit this project, with 20, 30 years, 35 years.
Maybe you can realize it.
I guess that would make sense. Maybe I was thinking either to make something like
on yourself,
kind of a documentary about illustrating some of these, simulating of, and maybe some kind of installation like setup. Mm-hmm. It was called Big Brother with Browser. I presented it at this competition with a Big Brother browser, because it was sort of surveillance, which is this opposite term of surveillance, from above, you're sort of watching back. So there was this idea of kind of subverting the idea of sort of surveillance.
Whatever.
Okay, so one more question, if there is any, because then we really have
some more wine.
You could finish, because from in the chat there is no questions. Thank you all for listening us. So I hope everything was you could hear well, but if you still have some questions, just put in the chat. Okay. But otherwise, I think we can finish. Yeah. Some wine, some pizza, okay. Un paldies visiem, kas bija online. Paldies. Tā.
Viņu vairs nedzird.